Growing up in the South can lead to a lot of traits. An intense love for sweet tea, preceding insults with bless your heart, and internalized homophobia. None of these elements, however, trump the most universal of Southern traits: a respect for nature. I've grown up my entire life in Arkansas, the natural state, so this overwhelming respect for nature was pretty much inherent to me. I've been to festivals celebrating harvests, cooked with fresh-grown herbs and veggies, and just laid in a field of wheat. With nature and plants being such an important element of my life, I pay a lot of attention to how they are represented in media. Usually, plants either lack agency to the point where they are practically props, or they are some villainous force that tries and fails to conquer humanity. Frank Oz's 1986 film, Little Shop of Horrors, makes itself unique, due to its divergence from the norm through the evolution of Audrey II and the deaths of the human characters. Audrey II starts her life in one of the pre-described roles, the prop-like plant that lacks agency. We see this form quickly evolve once blood is introduced to her in Grow For Me, taking on an almost baby-like persona as she suckles at Seymour's fingers. During the song Feed Me, we see Audrey II's evolution has taken a much more rapid pace, in line with her physical growth. She's learned the ability to speak without having to be taught, and possesses enough intelligence to manipulate Seymour's emotions to further her endeavors. While the evolution has been seemingly straightforward to this point, a wrinkle appears during supper time, where we not only see Audrey II use her tendrils for simple human-like tasks, she also seems to have planned Mr. Mushnick finding out that Seymour's chopped up the dentist's body, as she articulates Seymour's anxiety. Ultimately, this results in more food for Audrey II, and allowing us to see her last evolution. Now we see she no longer requires a caregiver whatsoever. She is able to lure in her own food, as seen with Audrey, and can fully use her tendrils to even move around in the pot. These abilities culminate as her spawn takes over the world in Don't Feed the Plants, fully overwhelming humanity. There are no superheroes to stop the plants, and even the military are unable to stop them. By having humanity ultimately lose against them, the film overall creates a very pro-nature argument, that humanity is unable to overcome the ever-present forces of nature. This argument is developed more fully through the deaths of the primary human characters. Each of the human characters falls victim to their own humanity, rather than a random outside force. The dentist falls victim to gluttony, overdosing on the nitrous gas that should be going to his patients rather than feeding his addiction. Mr. Mushnick is prey to greed, as had he not tried to make a deal with Seymour to learn how to care for Audrey II, he would have survived. Audrey dies as she sings a reprise of Somewhere That's Green, a song expressing her envy for the lives of the other nuclear families. Finally, Seymour himself falls prey to his pride, as the plant that he's devoted his life to consumes him just as he's done with the others. Audrey II, however, does not die. She lacks the humanity necessary for the film to kill her, allowing her to be the only one left alive at the end. As someone with an immense amount of love for the natural world, there's an odd pleasure that comes from seeing the people lose, a rectification that has gone unabated for the longest time. Humans each dying due to their own humanity only further cements this theme. Ultimately, humanity is unable to escape the ever-present forces of nature.